Welcome to NTV Weekend Edition on this day when, unfortunately, we have lost more lives to the raging floods, and we have these details and much more in the course of this broadcast. Let's start off with the highlights.
Tonight, floods of fury and fatalities.
70 people have lost their lives. 22 others are injured.
Billions of shillings set aside to address the crisis. Plus, Bomas of Kenya Chief Executive Officer in custody ahead of arraignment in graft matter. We tell you the questions over CS Aisha Jumwa in this whole situation. Also tonight, Doctors Union leader Dr. Dennis Miskela and Embu County in push and pull over his firing.
They know very well that I've been on study leave and I was working in Kenyatta.
Nowhere in our records do we have a letter from Mr. Miskela requesting that he be allowed to pursue attachment at the Kenyatta National Hospital.
Did the doctor the truth? And how do you like your meat? Do you know of the different versions of cooked meat?
So all that smoke that you see is inside there, so it all goes into the meat. So you got the heat, the cold, and that smoke, so it all adds to the flavor.
Let's meet on This Is Life.
Live from Nation Center, this is Weekend Edition with Dan Mwangi.
Welcome to the broadcast. Alongside me tonight on this bulletin is Flora Atieno on the sign language interpretation. Now, KMPDU Deputy Secretary General Dennis Miskela has denied claims that he was terminated for absconding duty for close to 2 years. On his part, Miskela maintains that he requested for study leave and was attached to the Kenyatta National Hospital thereafter. Despite Embu County government saying he absconded duty, Miskela says he followed the right procedures that showed he was working at the Kenyatta National Hospital.
The employment dispute between KMPDU's Deputy Secretary General, Dr. Dennis Miskela, and Embu County has taken a different twist. It is now a back and forth between the fire union leader and Embu County Secretary Amy Ruria.
They know very well that I've been on study leave and I was working in Kenyatta. The university wrote them a letter showing them that I was in school, and I even brought for them my graduation certificate showing that I graduated in December, and I told them I was ready to work in January. But sadly, the board decided, in their wisdom or lack of it, to fire me. Remember that they stopped my salary for the last 19 months. So I wonder how they claim that I'm not been at work when they have never paid me for 19 months.
His salary was only stopped in December 2022, and it is because he absconded duty. And that is procedure. To his dismissal, which was in February 2024, that cannot be 19 months.
Dr. Miskela insists the county was aware of his whereabouts for the last 2 years.
When they sat and chose to fire me on the 29th of January, they sat on the letter and only released the letter for my dismissal. So they were using that as a noose for me so that I can stay on one line. So when they saw me do the strike, then they finally released the letter.
Now, nowhere in our records do we have a letter from Mr. Miskela requesting that he be allowed to pursue attachment at the Kenyatta National Hospital. And nowhere in our records do we have a letter authorizing or giving him permission to pursue attachment at the KNH.
A source close to NTV has revealed that indeed Dr. Miskela was a resident doctor at the Kenyatta National Hospital during the period of 2022 to 2023. As the doctors' strike enters its 45th day, the blame game between the national government, the county governments and the doctors continues to play out. But who is fooling whom? Helen Aura, NTV.
Now, failed voter identification system and delays in opening the polling stations was the order of the day in Nairobi as the ruling party UDA held its grassroots elections. And as Martin Mwangi reports, Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja and Agoreti South Member of Parliament John Kiarie are among those whose names could not be found in the voter register in their respective polling stations.
The UDA grassroots election exercise, which was set to kick off at 9 a.m., was characterized by numerous technical challenges, especially within Nairobi County.
voters and a number of aspirants could not hide their frustrations as the electronic voter register failed to recognize them, despite the fact that they were duly registered in those stations. Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja, who was also vying for the position of the Nairobi County chairperson, was among those who could not cast their ballot. The party leadership said the governor had registered using his passport and not the national ID, hence the system error.
Most unfortunate thing ni kwamba tuko sasa hapa watu kama almost 25 to 30 yeah? Na wale watu imekubali ni watu wawili peke yake. Imekubali watu wawili peke yake, lakini imekataa including aspirants wote. Tukipeana ID yetu inaonyesha kwamba nini? We are not in the system.
Tulienda kupiga kura, tukaona kuna hitilafu kidogo ya mitambo kwa sababu ya jina. Kuna wale ambao hata bado wako hapo sasa, majina yao yalikuwa yamekosekana kwa orodha. Tukaongea na chama, wakasema ni mambo ya IT, wametatua kwa sasa.
At Lenana School in Dagoretti South, the voting exercise began 10 minutes to 2 p.m., just over an hour to the closure of the polls. Despite the long delay, majority of the voters were still unable to cast their ballots as a similar identification validation process clogged the exercise. The area member of parliament is among those who encountered the challenge.
Before we got into the polling station, but we have been able to establish now, at least for this station, so far, only 2 out of 10 people are able to vote, meaning that only with every batch of 10 people, only 2 are able to vote.
The elections also took place in 5 other counties, including Busia, Nairobi, West Pokot and Homa Bay, with members expressing similar challenges as the rains prevented the exercise from starting at the stipulated time. However, UDA party says the exercise was conducted in a smooth manner digitally, except for a few challenges which would be resolved. Martin Mwangi, NTV.
Now, how do you like your meat? When asked this question, most Kenyans will say, well done, I don't want to see any blood. We enjoy our meat well cooked, perhaps overcooked or charred. Now, restaurants are serving aged beef, which is meat kept for 21 to 60 days after slaughter, then cooked under 10 minutes. NTV's Marion Sitawa put together this feature on what aged beef is, why it may cost 20,000 shillings per serving, and why you ought to eat it rare or medium rare on our lifestyle segment, This is Life.
Ever been to a steakhouse? How do you like your steak? Do you like the steak dry-aged or wet-aged? Medium rare, rare, or even maybe well done? Well, if you are a steak lover, come with us.
Chop House, our signature restaurants, we basically, our main focus is dry age and wet age steaks, locally and imported. We get our dry age steak, we get from Laikipia, which is local, and then obviously from South Africa we get all our wet age. We control the temperature. It needs to be between 1 and 4 degrees, and the humidity between 70 and 80 degrees. The moisture evaporates slowly from the beef over a period of time, and while that's happening, the natural enzymes also starts breaking down the beef. The temperature has been controlled, air circulated, perfect humidity. Wet age is basically when you take individual steaks, you vacuum seal them, so you take all the oxygen out, and it basically matures within its own juices. It's also stored in the fridge between 1 and 4 degrees for up to 30-35 days. So the taste for dry age, it's much more robust, more earthy, more mushroomy, more sort of penguin sort of taste, almost like blue cheese. So we age it for 40 days. When you dry age like this, you lose about 20% just from moisture, but once you start trimming it, you lose about 40 to 50%. That's the reason why dry age is so expensive, is because of the yield that you get out. The premium cut is the ribeye. The ribeye is a cut that ages very well. As a ribeye, you know, as it says rib, so it's from the rib part of the cow. It doesn't work a lot. It's got a lot of marbling and fat from the ribs, obviously. So that makes it nice and juicy and soft when you cook it. So it ages very well. Sirloin, which is on the top part, just before the rump, is very lean, so that's more suitable for wet age. So these are just a few of the cuts that we do. So you guys can I'll just maybe show you the difference. So this is a beef fillet or beef tenderloin. This is the ribeye. As you can see, the marbling. I don't know if you can see that. And then that's the cap. So there's the marbling that I was talking about in the ribeye. It's there. And this is the sirloin. So you can see the difference between the ribeye and the sirloin. There's not a lot of marbling here, so it's not very fatty. It's more sort of a lean meat. Yeah. This is obviously the T-bone. This we call our tomahawk, and this is where the ribeye basically comes from, as you can see. So first he brushes it with a bit of oil, and then from there he's going to put the biltong spice. So the meat, we usually cook it for about 3 to 4 minutes on each side, this thickness, because that will give you a nice medium rare. And like I say, once it comes out, we let it rest for about 10 minutes. That is the wet age. Obviously the oil helps, it drips on the coals and it creates that flame, and then it will make the smokiness. So now it does, it just do your normal thing how you cook it. You close it. Where's the dry age? Please. So it takes about 3 to 4 minutes aside to get to a medium rare temperature. Can you close it? So now he closes it, he opens it up, give it a bit of air, start smoking. So all that smoke that you see is inside there. So it all goes into the meat. So you got the heat, the cold, and that smoke. So it all adds to the flavor, yeah? Okay, so béarnaise sauce. Let me show you how to make that. So béarnaise is basically almost the same as a hollandaise. It's made with egg yolks, some acid, usually vinegar, and lemon juice. Some people reduce it, I just don't, no need for that. It's supposed to go in a double boiler, so you don't scramble the eggs, but there's a bit of lemon in it, just a bit, huh? And the tarragon, put some tarragon, sour. Nice béarnaise sauce, the shortcut version. But same result. We'll cut it, I'll show you how we serve it. Nicely done, nice and tender. You can see how the knife just, okay, and this is the wet age. You can see it's a bit more chewy. You can see it if you cut it. It's not as tender as the 40-day dry aged meat. So what we do, we'll usually serve it on the salt block. So what we do, just to finish it off, a little bit of this chimichurri, you know, just for a bit of acidity, like that. We also have some tomatoes that we sun dry in-house, just a bit of color there. And then to finish it off, that's nice and hot. Take a bit of the marrow that we've roasted, just like that, take it out. Break it up a bit, put that on top. That doesn't look good, I don't know. Hey?
Yeah, so this is the dry edge over here. Give me like a kitchen knife. Woo, woo. That is so good. That is really good.
Kenyans need to try to be adventurous, you know, look past the redness or the blood of the steak. Try to eat it medium. You don't have to go from well done to medium rare directly. Slowly work your way down, see if it works for you. If it doesn't work for you, then it doesn't work for you, then you go back to it.
Interesting, and like we said at the beginning, many Kenyans will say, imeiva maijaiva. Now tonight, NTV Specials in Investigations Unit has learnt of an unsettling environment at the Bomas of Kenya involving embattled CEO Peter Gita Koria and the board led by Chairperson Jane Kipto Chabaibai. The bone of contention being the resumption of duties by the CEO following a court injunction on his suspension by the Employment and Labour Relations Court. In a series of correspondences seen by NTV, it appears that the board chairperson, Jane Kipto, insists that CEO Gita is not properly reinstated, while on the other hand, Gita, who enjoys the support of Gender and Culture Cabinet Secretary Aisha Jumwa, wants in. And as our senior specials and investigations reporter Ibrahim Karanja reports, the CEO was earlier today arrested by the EACC over suspected involvement in procurement irregularities amounting to more than 8.5 million Kenya shillings.
Following an April 18th injunction granted by the Employment and Labour Relations Court against his suspension over suspicions of involvement in procurement irregularities, Chief Executive Officer of the Bomas of Kenya, Peter Gitaa, was set to resume duty Friday. But as soon as the meeting for his handover started, and immediately after the opening prayers, EACC officers pounced, driving away with Gitaa, taking him to Integrity Center for processing before arraignment on Monday. This was soon after the ODPP made public its decision to charge Gitaa over procurement irregularities, amounting to 8.5 million shillings. Gitaa is suspected to have been involved in the irregular awarding of a tender for the supply of cutlery to various companies, amounting to the loss of the said sums in the financial year 2020-2021. But even before Friday's arrest and the eventual weekend in the cold, it is now emerging that Gitaa's attempts to resume office is troubled. Following the ruling by Justice Matthews Ndumanderi on the 18th of April 2022, issuing an injunction against his suspension, CS Aisha Jumwa on the 25th of April wrote to Gitaa to resume his duties. This is seen as unprocedural, as it is only the board that could reinstate the embattled CEO. Gitaa had been suspended alongside over 70 other state officers following directions from Head of Public Service Felix Koskei in November last year. They were being probed for alleged graft. But the instruction for reinstatement by CS Aisha Jumwa wasn't to be, as the board of directors at the Bomas of Kenya, led by chairperson Jen Kiptoo Chebaibai, felt that the reinstatement was not properly done, maintaining that Nixon Mugilwa, the finance and administrative manager, remains as the acting chief executive officer. There are a series of letters from different sources which include CS Jumwa, the board of directors and the CEO himself, all taking different stances on the matter, but all pointing out to trouble at Bomas. The EACC is also set to appeal the injunction for suspension by the Labour Court, even as Gitaa is arraigned on Monday. Meanwhile, also spending the weekend in custody of the EACC is Taita Taveta County Assembly Clerk Gadiel Maganga, who is suspected for fraudulent expenditure of 17 million shillings incurred in the bonding trip to Zanzibar by 21 MCAs in 2022. Maganga had earlier sought reprieve from the courts against his arrest, but he was unsuccessful and was arrested immediately after. He is being held by the EACC in Mombasa, awaiting arraignment on Monday. Ibrahim Karanja, NTV.
We take our first short break on NTV Weekend Edition. We have more after this. Stay with us.
Kuna 1.1 million Kenyan shillings mahali hapa. Yote ndani ya shamba hili, na tarehe 28 mwezi huu wa Aprili, draw ya kujishindia shamba hili inafanyika. Unaitaka? Dial star 570 hash, chagua option ya kuvuka na chake pekee. Cheza mara kadhaa, imarisha ushindi wako kwa kujaza tiketi zako kwenye draw. Title deed yako tunaitransfer papa hapa. Lot yako iko kwenye star 570 hash. Kalamu yako ya sahihi ndio hii na makasi yako ndio hii. Buka na shake!
Tired of popping pills and carrying hot water bottles each time you have menstrual cramps? I recommend Deep Heat Period Pain Patch. Convenient to use anywhere, anytime. Tear and remove protective film and attach the patch only once directly to the lower abdomen. The patch gives a penetrating warmth that relieves menstrual cramps and pain for up to 12 hours. Girls, don't give in to the pain.
Roto.
But I know that meat looks tender, but maybe not so much when your chest is burning. Remember what happened the last time? Hey, dude, you don't listen, man. Are you testing yourself? I tried looking out for you, bro. Hey, you see now? How's the heartburn? Look now, it's burning.
Do not hold back in any situation. Eno gets to work on the 6 symptoms of heartburn fast.
You do know you said all of that out loud, right?
If symptoms persist, seek medical advice.
The Motindum liquid electronic device reaches every corner, giving your loved ones a peaceful sleep. Together, we can fight to end malaria. Motindum, Kenya's #1 choice.
Eliud Kipchoge has done the unthinkable.
Today, everyone knows me for my victories. Only I know how much I had to try. I got silver, bronze, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. How you deal with pain and setbacks make you who you are. I choose to accept that I am human. I choose to test myself and stand up when I was down, again and again. Then I realized I wasn't giving myself a challenge big enough, a dream big enough to inspire not just me, but every fellow human. I was limiting myself by what I thought I could do, so I became unlimited. I chose to run the biggest race that man could run. And I challenged myself to do it faster than anyone had done it before. Everything changes when you choose to be unlimited.
To be unlimited, call 0800 724 724.
Hi there, my name is Dr. George Washuri. I am here to present to you a wonderful place you can build a retirement home. Where else other than Ocean View Ridge, Vipingo by Optiven? This property is well manicured. We have a perimeter wall. We are doing a swimming pool. We just concluded a beautiful entry gate. Only 2 miles to the ocean. Do you want to retire in the coastal region? Call this number 0790 300 300. The best property ever.
What a wonder. Something so small as a vaccine can help save millions of lives, from measles, cervical cancer to polio, cholera, and COVID-19. Vaccines have been helping protect us for over 200 years. Ever wonder how vaccines work? Vaccines act like a coach. Train and strengthen your immune system, helping to build up the strength of your immune system to help protect you from potentially dangerous diseases. Take action. Visit your nearest health facility and get the vaccines your healthcare provider recommends for you. Brought to you by the Ministry of Health in collaboration with AMREF and Pfizer.
Everyone can be an expert in his or her field. You can be an expert in all analytics. You know who will be the next star of the season. You can be an expert in all matches. You're an expert in statistics or people's opinions. 1xBet will help you show your expertise. Express yourself. You're the expert.
Deals kila wiki na Carrefour. Enjoy Guru Special Basmati Rice 5 kg at 945 shillings. Carrefour Vegetable Oil 5 liters at 999 shillings. Fresh chicken leg bone in 5 kg at 599 shillings. Onion red at 165 shillings. Higher Android TV 43 at 26995 shillings. Deals kila wiki na Carrefour.
This week on Daring Abroad.
This is a type of farming called hydroponics.
Meet the Kenyan scientist growing cash using modern technology in Australia.
I grow tomatoes, truss tomatoes, loose tomatoes, cherry tomatoes.
And how she's giving back to her motherland by finding opportunities for Kenyans in Adelaide City.
Most of our students are referred through our trusted agents, and for Kenya we are exclusively working with Dr. Christine Valela.
There's a gap in technology and there's a gap in skills and knowledge gap. That's the area I'm hoping to fill.
Dr. Christine Walela, this Saturday at 7:30 p.m. only on NTV.
I tried looking out for you, bro. Hey, you see now? How's the hard button? Look now, it's burning.
Do not hold back in any situation. Eno gets to work on the 6 symptoms of heartburn fast.
You do know you said all of that out loud, right?
If symptoms persist, seek medical advice.
Let's get down to business now. To address the cost of computer units, input devices, and promote local manufacturing, 2 semiconductor, microchips, and electronics plants are set to be set up at Dedan Kimathi University after investors pledged to set up facilities in the institution of higher learning. Australian developer of green supply chain infrastructure has signed a memorandum of understanding with Semiconductors Technologies LLC to build suit facilities for the development of semiconductors and microchips in Africa, beginning with Kenya. The deal will see 54 billion shillings invested directly in the infrastructure and real estate required by STL across sub-Saharan Africa over the next 6 years. The first 2 facilities will be developed at the Dedan Kimathi Science and Technology Park in the county of Nyeri, the first science and technology park in Kenya, at a cost of 14.85 billion shillings.
So the agreement that we have and that we just signed is a memorandum of understanding that sets off discussions around many different things. The semiconductor space and the facilities that support the technology are extremely complicated, sometimes extremely expensive, and they actually require developers that have a keen eye on energy, on operating cost, on the real estate, on the green spaces, because we are looking to be the premier manufacturer of green semiconductors in the continent.
The model is pretty unique in that IVU is coming in as a partner for the infrastructure, specifically and only. So the bricks, the mortar, the infrastructure that supports what STL is trying to do in Nyeri and in the rest of the country and in the region. The total value of that is about $400 million in debt and equity over the next 10 years.
The U.S. Congress has put down proposals that would see the African Growth and Opportunity Act extended to 2041, thus remaining in effect for another 16 years. Senator Chris Coons and Senator James Risch last week introduced a bipartisan AGOA Renewal and Improvement Act of 2024, which would see AGOA cover 54 out of the previous 32 African countries. The extension is expected to integrate AGOA with the African Continental Free Trade Agreement to support the development of intra-African supply chains. AGOA was due to expire next year, though President Biden's administration was keen to extend it. That's it for business, but let's go back to our top story tonight. And more than 75 people have died from the floods being experienced across the country as the National Disaster Response Technical Committee recommends that some schools in the flood-prone areas might remain closed longer. The Meteorological Department predicts that the heavy rainfall will be witnessed into the second week of May, as Bridget Ngana now reports.
An attempt by this lorry ferrying construction material and people across a flooded river Kwamoswi left 5 people dead as the water swept away the truck and those on board. Witnesses saying the driver of the lorry had requested some onlookers to climb on the vehicle to help weigh it down.
I've lost my sister hapa, ni hauka. So alikuwa anaenda kazi zake za kila Friday. Kila Friday anaendanga town huko mbele nitoka skill. And so sasa akaingianga tu afanye tu hauking process zake. So si kuna lori ilikuwa hapa, iliko pale hivi. So ikawaambia waingie, siongeze weight ndo ikuwe na weight isibebwe na maji.
Wenye wametolewa hapa sijui walikuwa ngapi, lakini kuna wawili tumewapata sasa, wao jamaa hapa na mwingine wawili. Sasa ndio tunaenda kuangalia kwa simu kozi. Serikali inataka kutusaidia kwenda kuwabeba.
In Embu County, 5 people died in the last 24 hours in Evurore, Mbeere North, Mwea, Mbeere South and Manyata, Embu West. The County Disaster Preparedness Committee says it is on high alert after the Kiambere Dam overflowed.
Na pia tuna monitor na tunaangalia sana zile areas ambayo tunasema ziko prone for landslides. sana sana Embu East. Tume map out about 4 villages.
In Nyatike, Migori County, 300 houses have been submerged as the waters of a flooded Lake Victoria invades the homes and schools on its shoreline.
If the water continues, schools like Modi, either primary and secondary, and Google, primary and secondary, Nyora Kabuto, either will stay away from school to safeguard their life.
In Kitengela, Kajiado County, roads remained submerged as the flooded River Athi raged on. The Kiambu County government has begun distributing aid to victims of the flood from Ngoingwa, Kahawa Wendani, Mwiki, Mwihoko, Manguo, Bosnia, Kiamba, and Banana. According to the National Disaster Response Technical Committee, by April 25th, 70 people had died, with Nairobi bearing the biggest burden of flood-related deaths. 22 people have been injured, 8 people are still missing, 24,102 households have been submerged, with 179 people affected.
We have also asked the National Treasury to give priority to counties that have been affected, so that they can access funds owed to them for the purposes of emergencies.
3.3 billion shillings has been proposed for emergency response to the floods, while distribution of food and non-food items are underway in the affected counties of Homa Bay, Kisumu, Kiambu, Machakos, Nairobi, and Nyandarua. Affected counties have been urged to utilize county emergency funds and liaise with the county assemblies to pass supplementary budgets to address the humanitarian crisis. Bridget Ngana, NTV, Nakuru.
Ensure that you take care when you see those flooded spaces. Avoid and stay safe. You'd rather get late to go somewhere and get there alive. We take a short break on NTV Weekend Edition, the sports after this.
Ukilipa bill zako na M-Cop Cash reward ya 1000 inaweza kukukodolea macho. Kuna 100 daily winners.
Shinda cash na M-Cop Cash. Cooperative Bank. We are you. Terms and conditions apply.
Crazy offers. Save up to 180 bob. Buy now at a store near you.
It ain't easy to be tough, to stand tall when your legs are about to give up. But being tough is the only option. I am a toughie.
Bata Toughies. Durable and comfortable shoes to match your inner toughness.
Maswali gani tena? Kama ni Ma3 ndio hii Toyota Hi-Ace, na kama ni mshindi ni wewe mchezaji wa Lucky Game. Kama ni nambari za kucheza dial *570#, na kama ni namna ya kushinda kwa urahisi cheza Lucky Game mara kadhaa ili kuongeza your entry tickets kwenye draw. Na kama ni siku ya kutangaza mshindi ni 5th of May. Swali gani tena? Dial *570#. Cheza Lucky Game. Vuka na hii Ma3.
Jenny, what are you up to at this time?
I'm just doing this for my friends at school who do not have lunch.
You should have told me.
When your kids learn from you, you're giving them a great start. Prestige Margarine. It all starts with a great start. Now comes in the original and vanilla flavor.
To protect our family from germs that cause illness when it's cold, we use Dettol soap.
Dettol soap with germ defense gives you protection. When it's cold, germs are transferred in different ways, and Dettol soap's germ defense protects you from up to 100 illness-causing germs. Be Dettol sure.
Ukilipa bill zako na M-Cop Cash, Cash reward ya 1000 inaweza kukukodolea macho.
Lipa bills kama vile TV, stima, maji na shopping ukitumia M-Cop Cash ama dial *667# na unaweza kujishindia 1000 for every bill paid.
Kuna 100 daily winners. Chelewa, utapata mbwata sio chako. Kose.
Shinda cash na M-Cop Cash. Cooperative Bank. We are you. Terms and conditions apply.
For an exclusive 3x skin effect, try Nivea Men Deep powered by black carbon. For 48-hour deep moisture, a fresh skin feel, and a long-lasting masculine fragrance. Make an impact with Nivea Men Deep Impact Body Lotion. Try Nivea Men Deep Roll-On for 72-hour antibacterial sweat protection.
Imperfections, blackheads. Try Garnier's Pure Active 3-in-1 Charcoal, powered by salicylic acid and purified charcoal to reduce pimple-causing germs by 99.5%. One product, 3 uses for a pure skin. Garnier Pure Active 3-in-1 Charcoal, #1 in South Africa, by Garnier Naturally.
What a wonder. Something so small as a vaccine can help save millions of lives, from measles, cervical cancer to polio, cholera, and COVID-19. Vaccines have been helping protect us for over 200 years. Take action. Visit your nearest health facility and get the vaccines your healthcare provider recommends for you. Brought to you by the Ministry of Health in collaboration with AMREF and Pfizer.
NTV Sports News in association with Nivea Men Deep Impact Body Lotion.
Let's do sports now, and the third edition of the Africa Continental Shooting Tier 4 Championship kicked off today at Bamburi Rifle Club in the county of Mombasa. 18 international shooters from Russia, Serbia, Slovenia, South Africa, America and host Kenya are taking part. Among the Kenyans expected to fly the flag high are Master Ibrahim Ndongo and Master Sami Onyango. The opening ceremony of the championship was led by Police Commander George Seda. This is the first time the Bamburi Rifle Club is hosting a Tier 4 championship. KCB will miss the services of at least 5 players who are away on national duty ahead of Saturday's Enterprise Cup quarter-final clash against the Northern Suburbs. Andy Omolo and Michael Wamalwa are currently representing the Kenya Under-20 national team in Zimbabwe as they compete in the Bathurst Cup. Kenya Sevens skipper Vincent Onyala, Samuel Asati and Elvis Olukusi are training with Shujaa. Despite the odds favoring the Bankers against the Northern Suburbs, they will not rest on their laurels. KCB has won the title 5 times and last hoisted it 7 years ago. The Bankers lost in the final to Kabras Sugar in 2023. The semi-finals will be played on 1st June to allow for the Super Series to be played between May 4th and 28th.
As usual, like I always tell you, we take one game at a time. So, yes, end goal is to win it, but long-term goal is to win it, short-term goal, Saturday's game.
NTV Sports News in association with Nivea Men Deep Impact Body Lotion.
For an exclusive 3-time skin effect, try Nivea Men Deep powered by black carbon for 48-hour deep moisture, a fresh skin feel, and a long-lasting masculine fragrance. Try Nivea Men Deep Roll-On for 72-hour antibacterial sweat protection.
Well, that does it for NTV Weekend Edition, and that's from myself, the team here, as well as Flora Atieno, who's been on the sign language interpretation. And as we close, let's briefly revisit the striking doctors, and specifically the yet-to-be-posted medical interns. One of the trained medics, Dr. J.B. Kinuthia, who is waiting for posting, listened to his union bosses singing or making an attempt to do so and felt they weren't sounding too good a cappella. So he, not only being a doctor but also musically talented, decided to use his talent to spice up the song. This is what we shall close our bulletin with. Viewer or listener's discretion, some of the singing will show you why there was need to bring music into it. Good night.
Chama litasimama na vumbi litapita, lakini chama litasimama. Chama litasimama, chama litasimama na vumbi litapita, lakini chama litasimama. Na mailu walipita, hata nyuma walipita, hata Susanna anapita, lakini chama litasimama. Chama litasimama, chama litasimama na kupita lapita, lakini chama litasimama. Chama litasimama, chama litasimama na kupita lapita, lakini chama.
Dark marks keep coming back. Any tips? Double the vitamin C power. New Garnier Vitamin C Day and Night Serums. Daily with the #1 vitamin C serum to correct dark marks. At night, new 10% vitamin C serum to help prevent their reappearance. Together, twice as fast dark mark reduction. The Power Duo. New Garnier Vitamin C Day and Night Serums. By Garnier, naturally.
Unapocheza Lotomoto, ni wengi wanasaidika, na ni kwa sababu yako wengi wasiojiweza wananufaika. Na kwako wewe mchezaji, unajipatia fursa ya kujishindia Toyota Hiace ambaye namtangaza mshindi on the 5th of May. Zidi kucheza Lotomoto, zidi kucheza Lucky Game na uzidi kusaidia jamii ya wasiojiweza kwa ujumla. Matrindi huyu hapa na anakugoja. Dial *524#, chagua option namba 4 na ujiingize katika draw ya kuvuka namba 3. Mshindi tunamtangaza 5th of May. Dial *524#, chagua option namba 4. Cheza Lucky Game na tunakuhakikishia ushindi, na bahati yako itakufikia mahali popote ulipo. Kumbuka kucheza ni *524#.
Monica Kamau is a 77-year-old retiree. She is a widow and mother and grandmother to several grandchildren. She will speak on the challenges senior citizens go through in their lives. Lucy Moria is the CEO and founder of the Kenya Pro-Aging Organization. It is an organization that looks into the well-being of the older persons in the country to ensure they age with dignity and respect. She is also a geriatric nurse and a governance expert and will be speaking on policy issues touching on the welfare of older persons in the country. Cornelius Odwor is the Deputy Executive Director of the Kenya Human Rights Commission, a human rights defender and a public policy analyst. He will share insights on what the law says on protecting older persons and from a human rights perspective.
My lords and ladyships, News Court is in session. Your Honor, before this Honorable Court of Public Interest is a matter of the senior citizens in our society, our custodians of traditions, values and cultural heritage. They have weathered life's storms, contributed to society, yet find themselves navigating a landscape where their rights are often neglected. These unique challenges they face ranging from health issues associated with aging, mobility limitations, as well as social isolation or even financial insecurity, especially if they lack adequate support systems or resources. So this Honorable Court seeks to interrogate this matter. Your Honor, to set the context, the court would like to hear from the horse's mouth, and I would like to call to the stand Mama Monica Kamau. Tell us, how old are you, and just briefly, a little bit about your life.
I am 77 years old. Nilizaliwa tukiwa watano. Na nikiwa mdogo kabisa, mimi ndio nilikuwa last born. When I was very young, my father died. Tukalewa na shida sana. Lakini mimi, until my mother died, I was with them, although I was married, and I have 7 children. I was employed in this company called Kenya Airways. I was working there. That year I was very small and I was young, but I was with my children all alone because my husband died in 1982, July 28. He left me with his 7 children and 3 grandchildren. Then there, I just struggle, and after struggling, lucky enough, I was in my own house, where even now I'm living. And all of them, they got married, and the other one, men, they got married. Now I'm with them with a lot of struggle, because the wives of the boys, they ran away. I left the children with me. Okay. So I'm the one taking care. And those, you know, like now these days, people like these young men, they just go to the pombe or to the kibarua, and this and have you, and they don't take care about their children or about the parent. So it's me alone struggling with Wajuku, educating them, giving them food and whatever the kind of this. 2024, that's the time I retired. When I left the job, I was 50 years. So 10 years I stayed without anything doing. I joined that farm, Karika. Tukaendelea, like up to now, I am there with other people like me aged, and we are doing well. That is my story up to now, but I don't complain much because there is one of my children who takes care of me. Okay. She's a girl. Now she's 43 years old.
And you're lucky enough to get a child who can be able to take care of you.
Yeah, that's the one taking care of me.
Just to give us an idea, ni changamoto hizi gani ambazo mtu anapata akiwa katika hiyo miaka ya uzee?
Dhuluma ni mingi sana. Kama vile nimetaja about urithi ya baba ama ya mama, hiyo mataitu na mali iko huko, wanadhulumiwa, anaambia hutakaa na hii vitu, si ndio tutakaa naye. Kama ni hiyo samba inaweza inauzwa. Mzee huyo ama baba huyo, huyo mzee mwanaume ama mwanamke, anaenda kuishi na shida. Kuishi na shida kusaidiwa na watu ama serikali mahali ya kuishi, na alikuwa na yake. Sasa unaona hiyo ni dhuluma mbaya sana iko na sisi huko, sababu tuko aged na sababu hawa watoto hawatujali. Mtu anaweza kukudhuluma, unakutana na hawa anakuambia wewe uko na pesa ngapi kwa banki nini. Sasa hiyo dhuluma unampatia namba ya account, anaenda natoa hizo pesa yote, unabaki hivyo kwa sababu anaona wewe ni mjinga na hujiwezi, anakudanganya.
Na wale ambao already wako katika umri yako, ushauri yako ni gani?
Hii maneno ya kwenda kunyaganywa, kusema wacha nikakae na huyu sababu mume alikufa ama nini, hiyo kama kuna mmoja ako anasikilia hivyo, anasikia hiyo maneno, asijaribu. Mtu ajaribu kukaa kwake na ile kidogo amewachua na mume wake ama na mke yake, na akutane na wale wengine. Mtu asikae kivyake, ajaribu kukaa na wamama wengine, anasikia maneno ya wengine iko namna gani. Ndio akili zake na matumaini yake iendelee juu na ikuwe iko sawa.
Na mwisho, umesema wewe una benefit kwa kupata ile pesa ambayo serikali inatoa kwa watu ambao wamefika umri yako. Je, ni pesa ngapi ambazo umeweza kupata na imekusaidia kivipi?
Niko na arthritis, niko na sukari, niko na nini. Wajukuu wale niliachiwa wako hapo, wanataka malazi mzuri, mimi pia nataka malazi mzuri. Hiyo pesa nasaidia, lakini ningeomba serikali tafadhali watuongezee kiwango ya hiyo pesa.
Ni pesa ngapi sasa hivi mna receive kutoka kwa serikali?
Sasa hivi tunapata shilingi 2,000 kwa mwezi. Na hiyo 2,000 wakati vile kama sasa the maisha iko very high.
You've heard it, Justice Wanjiku, the sobering reality of the challenges our elderly have to go through. And to give you even a broader perspective, Your Honor, listen to these further submissions.
Mimi nakula mihogo, viazi tamu na mahindi ile hajakomaa. Kulikuwa na njaa sana, pesa zetu zimechelewa na mimi sina meno.
Tulikuwa tumeagizwa tutalipwa 16,000 na tukalipwa 8 mwezi jana. Sasa tumelipwa zile zingine, kwa hivyo hakuna deni imebaki.
Well, Your Honor, the world's population is aging fast. In 2020, 1 billion people in the world were aged 60 years or over. Now that figure will rise to 1.4 billion by 2030, representing 1 in 6 people globally, according to the World Health Organization. Here are the statistics.
According to the World Bank, in a 2022 report, there were a total of 2.4 million Kenyans aged 60 years and above, with older women accounting to a larger percentage of the total population. Article 57 of the Constitution notes that the state shall take measures to ensure the rights of older persons to fully participate in the affairs of the society, to pursue their personal development, to live in dignity and respect and be free from abuse, and receive reasonable care and assistance from their family and the state.
And with that, Your Honor, it is critical to acknowledge that the care of the senior citizens in a family are also changing, with more households focusing on the nuclear family, leading to the neglect of the elderly. And there are individuals and organizations that have volunteered to come to the aid of these most vulnerable. This court would like to call to the stand Lucy Moria, the CEO and founder of the Kenya Pro-Aging Organization. From your own personal experience, what are some of the most significant challenges that this community face?
I've worked with older persons for like almost 20 years, but outside the country. So when I came back home, I thought I should get involved in the issues affecting the older persons here. Yeah, I continued within my organization, which was called Women for Peace and Development. It was a CBO because I wanted to make a difference in the lives of older people in the country, including having laws that stand for them and by them. So that's the time I decided to make the CBO an NGO, because this problem, I saw it all over the country. So we registered an NGO that is now the Kenya Pro-Aging, and our main focus it is improving the welfare of the older people and ensuring that they age with the dignity and the respect as stipulated in Act 57 of the Constitution of Kenya. Kwa sababu in Kenya, the only place where the older people are mentioned in any law, it is in the Constitution. And you know the Constitution is not detailed. Those who know more about the law will tell us. So Article 57 stipulates that it's the responsibility of the state and the family to give reasonable care. Right now we are in 25 counties, educating and training the older people on their rights, because a lot of them, they don't even know what they don't know. They don't know even their rights. When they're abused even by family members, they don't think it is an abuse. They think it's okay. My son can come and take my money and run away with it, and that's okay. And that brings me to the issues that affect them here, that we have found affecting the people in Kenya, the older people. There is economic instability, and these are people who might be needing even homes. Okay, it is there the children should take care of their older people, but there are many who have no children. There are many whose children have deserted them. Our older people are not used like to being staying by themselves. So daycare centers would work for them because they can go there and spend the time and solve the problem of isolation and loneliness, like Monica was said, where they met. That's where I met Monica. They get to talk, they get to engage, and that problem of loneliness is not there.
We also had issues of neglect, abuse, exploitation of senior citizens as well. From your experience working with older persons, just give us some insight into this.
The people who neglect, the people who abuse them, they are the people who are closer to them. And I said again, is because they don't even know they are being abused, they are being neglected. They are just... Even they can be in a home where there's a son-in-law and a daughter-in-law, but they can even miss food. No one gives them. Or they emotionally torture them until they give up. They also get a lot of emotional torture by that. Most of our parents, actually, they invest in their children. That's our culture. So they take them to school thinking they'll take care of them. Now we have the children, they have gone abroad, they're outside in the big cities, and the older parents are just left by themselves, and they think sending them money is a solution. It is not. So that one is really also affecting them. A lot of women live longer than men, and we have a lot of widowed women, and they get a lot of torture. We had to rescue some who have been raped. We want to rescue them. They get killed. We've been in places like Kisii, Nyamira, and Kilifi. They get killed, and nothing else. It's because of the land issues. And yet, that is why I'm saying the laws, the acts of parliament, they are key, because these things should be defined clearly. Not that when your husband dies, then people just get your property. Yes.
Allegedly, pointed a finger at for being, quote unquote, practicing witchcraft, perhaps.
The question of witchcraft, those are actually scapegoats. And we have done research, we have visited those people. At the bottom of everything, it is about what they have. You have a window here, maybe who doesn't even have children, but the husband dies, that she has to give whatever she has, even to cousins, not even their own children. And that is what is happening. In Mombasa, in Kilifi, you get a little gray hair, you're hacked, because they want to sell the beach plots to people and make money. So for them, it's about plots, it's about shamba, and that's again the backdrop of our law. What does the law say to protect these older people? Yes.
Okay, and finally, Lucy, just your thoughts on what the government should be able to do to make sure that the rights of older persons are well respected and their dignity is upheld.
I said there are three major things. One is access to health care. The other one is having a data in the whole country about the older people. I am not sure if maybe the ministry should have been here to tell us, we do not know the number of older persons who have a problem with hearing. We don't know who are incontinent. We don't know a problem of seeing. The government should be able to work on the data, and that is why our proposal was we have a council for older persons in the law, the Senior Citizens Bill that we had proposed. Because if the council is there, it will be entirely, they can work on that, and we'll be having these data. Then our senior citizen, another problem of transportation. You come with them even in a matatu. There's nothing special in a matatu for them. Okay. You go to places like even in banks, there's no even toilet for them. You never see this as for elderly people. In the hospitals, in developed countries, you go and see that door is for, the older people are treated like children because they are children at this point. Yeah. So we should want to find a line for them where an older person goes to the hospital and goes to the door where the doctor is waiting for them, not to queue the whole day and they are not able even to push on the streets. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, Lucy. Well, this court would like to hear the submissions of the state.
The Kenya Kwanza administration remains committed to supporting the most vulnerable members in the society who deserve to live a dignified life. We continue to implement the cash transfer program, popularly known as Inua Jamii, which provides bi-monthly stipend to cushion beneficiaries from poverty and vulnerabilities. This is aimed at improving their livelihoods. Today, the government has released through the Ministry of Labour and Social Protection Kenya shillings 16,725,856 for payment to over 1 million beneficiaries enrolled in the Inua Jamii program.
I know for a very long time we've had social protection cash transfer money disbursed 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe sometimes 7 months after they are due. The instructions I have given and Cabinet have undertaken and the Ministry of Treasury have undertaken is that from June 1, before salaries of public servants is paid, cash transfer for the vulnerable will be paid.
We are supposed to handle 70 year and above. And I want this to go on record that these are only the vulnerable people. Those people who cannot manage and those who don't earn a pension in whichever manner, but this should be their pension. We do not want to disturb these old persons from their comfort houses or wherever they live. We want to pay them via M-Pesa.
The court would now like to call to the stand Cornelius Odwor from the Kenya Human Rights Commission. What are some of the most pressing issues facing older persons, especially when it comes to their rights in this country?
Apparently, as people grow age, people think that now they don't understand issues. Probably they think they are not educated. But you'll be surprised that some of these people have served this country with a lot of dedication. They have some of the best brains that have served this country. And it doesn't mean that when you grow old, you become less wiser. And so that discrimination in terms of probably they don't understand the current issues is what I see as a big problem. And we see this discrimination across board in political cycles, in social cycles. So people don't think that they have something to offer. They're just seen as a spent force. So that discrimination manifests itself in so many other spheres of life. And I think this is what needs to be addressed in terms of ensuring that we are able to mainstream the participation of the older people in all societal activities.
So ageism is quite a big issue.
Yes.
But then also from earlier submissions we've had of cases of neglect and abuse. And for example, just to mention a few reports that we've received, cases of lynching of older persons in some areas of the country. Maybe can you speak on that, considering how older persons can be able to access justice, for example?
Of course, this has been linked to cases of thinking that when people become old, probably they can bewitch or they can be associated with bad things in the society. It's a case of violation of people's rights. And I don't think anybody who is allowed to either to maim or kill somebody because of age. This has happened. It has been reported across the country, especially in the rural areas. And I think we treat it as a violation of rights, and they should be accorded rights like any other person. And their rights are very well articulated in Article 43 of the Constitution, where every person has a right to affordable housing, good food, clean water, and many other things. And the government is obligated in Article 43, subsection 3, that the government must come up with social protection programs for those who cannot, for some reasons, access these economic and social rights. So the place of elderly people is properly taken care of in Article 47, and more particularly Article 57.
But do you feel like perhaps there is any gap in terms of the policies? Do we need to add more laws to be able to address some of these issues, because they're there in the society?
The Constitution is supreme, and it has articulated these issues very well. It's the obligation of Parliament then now to put in place a legal and a policy framework to see to it that the Constitution is fully implemented. We've seen elements or initiatives of government to try and help the people, but it's not enough. Sitting there and listening to my mother that all they can get is 2,000 shillings in this economy, it means a lot needs to be done. It's a good initiative, but I think a lot needs to be done beyond financial support, so that we are able to create mechanisms around the elderly people so that they can get access, support mechanisms from the people who live with them, the immediate family, and also the larger members of the society. So we need to create networks. When we hear about the issue of community health volunteers, I think listening to our elderly person here, these community volunteers must extend their services to even elderly people so that they're able to visit them, get to know how they are getting support from the family, and if there are other issues that may require attention of other players beyond the family members. So I think you just need to create an enabling environment so that the elderly people are able to participate and feel that they are loved and we care about them. And I think this requires a collective responsibility, led immediately by the immediate family, but also a support mechanism provided by government. Yes.
Are there avenues where KHRC provides for older persons to seek justice in instances where their rights have been violated? Definitely.
As indigents, when they are violated, it's our obligation as a human rights organization to facilitate access to justice. And we've been able to do this through provision of legal aid. This could be just giving them advice, referring them to relevant agencies where they can get assistance. And even if it means filing a strategic litigation to help them, we've been able to do that as a human rights organization.
Maybe lastly, can you speak on the importance of stakeholders coming together, especially those in the community, especially in the rural areas, to come together to ensure that the rights of older persons have been respected?
It's very important because, as you can see from the cases that are presented, their challenges are wide. It could be finance, it could be health, it could be social, it could be even just feeling of belonging. Right. So it requires, therefore, that all players in these sectors needs to come together so that we can have an integrated approach to addressing the issues of the elderly people.
All right.
It's very critical.
Thank you, Cornelius. There's a thread of wisdom aged like fine wine. It's the voice of the elders, the keepers of time, in the sunset of their days, where shadows may fall. Their hearts still beat with the echoes of old. They've weathered life storms, faced its trials, yet their spirit remains a beacon that smiles. But as the years pass by, their steps grow slow. It's our duty to cherish, to let their wisdom flow. They've walked the paths we now tread. Their stories, their lessons must not be left unsaid. For in their vulnerability, in their fragility, lies the essence of humanity. It's just simply nobility. So let's love them, care for them, and hold them tight, for they've given us everything. It's only right, right? News Court.